Chapter 40. The Return of the Savages. Robinson now renewed his plans for escaping from the island to Friday's country. They first rebuilt their boat with their new tools. They hollowed out the center till the sides were thin toward the top. They shaped her sides and keel. They made her prow sharp so that she would cut the water easily. They made a new mast, strong and tall and shapely. They made larger and stronger sails and ropes. They made 2 pairs of extra oars. They made boxes and cupboards in the prow and stern for keeping their fresh water and provisions. Friday's eyes sparkled with joy when it was done. He hoped he would now be able to return to his own island and parents. Robinson noticed his joy and asked him, "Do you want to return to your own people?" "Yes," said Friday, "very much." "Would you trust yourself in this boat?" "Yes," said Friday. "Very well," said his master. "You may have it and start home when you please." "Yes, master, but you come too. My people will not hurt you." Robinson resolved to venture over to Friday's land with him. But before their preparations were complete, the rainy season of our fall set in. They resolved to wait until the weather was settled, and as soon as the rainy season was over to set out. They ran their boat well up into the creek and covered it over with a large tarpaulin made of sailcloth obtained from the ship. Robinson had now been on the island 27 years. For the last 3 years he had lived happily with his companion Friday. Every year in September Robinson celebrated the day his life was saved and he was thrown up on the island. Robinson celebrated it this year with more than the usual thankfulness. He thought that it would be his last anniversary on the island. One morning Friday had gone to the beach to find a turtle. Soon he came running back out of breath. "Oh, master," he cried, "they are coming! They are coming to take me prisoner!" He was trembling with fright. "We must take our guns and defend ourselves," said Robinson, "but we will not kill any one unless they attack us." This quieted Friday. They loaded 4 muskets and 3 pistols. Robinson put the pistols in his belt, where he also fastened a sword. He gave Friday a pistol and a musket, for Friday had learned to shoot well. Besides, Friday carried a bag of powder and bullets. Robinson took his field glasses and saw 21 savages with 2 prisoners. The prisoners were bound and lying on the ground. This was a war party celebrating a victory with a feast. They probably intended to kill their prisoners. "We must save the lives of those men," said Robinson. The savages this time had landed quite near Robinson's shelter, not more than half a mile below the creek's mouth. Soon he and Friday started off. Robinson commanded Friday to follow quietly and not to speak or shoot. "We will surprise them and give them a good scare," said Robinson. When yet a considerable distance away they could hear the savages yelling and screaming. Some of them were dancing their war dance. Their faces and bodies were painted to make them look terrible to their enemies. They were dancing around their prisoners with hideous cries and gestures. They could now see the prisoners plainly. One had a beard and was plainly a white man. Robinson was surprised and determined to save him at all risks. "Get your gun ready to fire," he said to Friday, "and when I say the word let us run forward yelling and firing our guns over their heads. This will fill them with such fright that they will take to their heels and boats and get away as soon as possible. In the scramble and confusion we will rush in and rescue the prisoners." This plan did not please Friday at all. His savage blood was up and he wanted to kill all he could. "Let's fire on 'em," he said. "Let's kill all but the prisoners." "No, no," said Robinson. "It's always wrong to take life unless it cannot be avoided to save one's own. Let's try my plan first." With great reluctance Friday consented. At a signal from Robinson they rushed forward, and when in plain sight they fired off their muskets in the air. If the ground had suddenly exploded beneath their feet, there could have been no more confusion, astonishment, and fright. A few took to their heels. Others lay as if dead. They had swooned from fright. But as Robinson came up, they jumped to their feet and pushed into the boats, leaving the prisoners behind. Robinson and Friday still rushed forward and fired their remaining loaded guns and pistols in the air. The savages made all haste to get into their boats and push off. Soon they were well out to sea, paddling rapidly for the west. Robinson reloaded his arms and gave them a farewell volley, but not a soul was killed or even wounded. This gave Robinson great pleasure. He had accomplished his purpose without bloodshed. They could now turn to the prisoners. Robinson ran back to them and quickly cut their ropes. Robinson asked the white man who he was, but the man was too weak to answer. Robinson gave him a piece of bread. The fear of death being removed, the white man soon grew stronger. When Friday came running back from watching the boats and saw the savage that had been a prisoner, he gave a loud yell. He threw his arms around the man, kissed him, and laughed and cried for joy. He put his head on his breast and hugged him again and again. Robinson was greatly surprised and puzzled. He asked Friday what his actions meant, but so intent was Friday that he got no answer. At last Friday recovered far enough from his great joy to say with his face beaming in delight, "Oh, master, this man is my dear father." They at once began a long conversation. Each one told his story. Suddenly Friday jumped up and said, "How foolish I am! I have not thought to give my father anything to eat or drink. He must be nearly starved." And away he ran toward the shelter and was soon back with food and water to drink. Robinson learned through Friday from his father that the white man was a Spaniard, that he had been captured by the tribe that had a battle with Friday's people. The Spaniard was one of 16 men that had been saved by Friday's people from a wrecked ship. So weak were the prisoners that they could not walk to the shelter. Robinson and Friday made a litter and carried them one after the other. When once there, Friday prepared some rich rice soup. The prisoners ate heartily and in a few days were strong enough to go about the island. End of chapter 40. The return of the savages.